So, tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, so I'm gonna make some latkes. Full disclosure, I am not actually Jewish. My husband is culturally Jewish, and I started doing research on Judaism while my husband and I were dating because since I knew that even some small part of his life, I wanted to no, hi, Peanut. My cat gets concerned when I'm talking because I'm usually very quiet. Anyway, I started learning about Judaism uh, when my husband and I were still dating because I just wanted to know, what. I wanted to make sure I knew about this part of his life and everything like that. And ever since then, I've been really interested in Judaism. Um, if I thought I had it in me to really believe in a higher power, I would probably consider officially converting. Um, but as it is, I just really respect it as a religion and a culture, and I, hope I'm not crossing a line between appreciation and appropriation. Um, in this stream, I intend to make some latkes and talk about the history of Hanukkah. I'm not going to be touching on any of the actual, religious or ritual aspects of it, if that makes sense. Just, the actual written history and some delicious potato food. Um, so, yeah, I'm going to put this cat down and start doing some stuff. Goodbye, Peanut. I'm going to adjust the camera here. So I have to get one more thing set up before I can actually get started. I need to be on the creator dashboard. There we go. All right, got all that set up. So the first thing I need to do is get a bowl for my potatoes. Here's a bowl. We're gonna put a clean kitchen cloth in here. And then we need a grater. So here I've got 3 russet potatoes, and I also have an onion. Just a sec. I cannot have just potatoes for dinner, so I have a soup simmering over here out of camera. I'm gonna give this soup a stir and then put the lid on. It's basically just like a tomatoey vegetable stew, like a minestrone. Should be pretty good. Sorry about that noise. Okay. So one thing I probably should have done before I turned the camera on was clean off these potatoes. So I'm gonna go to the sink really quick and give these guys a good scrubbing to get any dirt off of them. I'm sure you guys know how to clean a potato. It's just a potato. That is 3 clean potatoes. Let me go ahead and change the camera view again. There we go. That looks about right. Okay. So, we've got our cheese grater in a bowl with a cloth, and we've got 3 potatoes. So we're gonna take the big grates on our cheese grater and just start grating the potato directly into the bowl with the cloth. The reason you do it this way is because the way, it's kind of like making hash browns. The way to get the potato to be as crispy and delicious as you want it to be is to squeeze out as much of that liquid as possible. So you just grate all the potato into the cloth or whatever you have, and then you give it a good squeeze. I feel like I should wait to start actually talking about history until I have a viewer, since right now it says I have a viewer, but it's actually just me. Make sure that you are careful when you get down to the little potato nub, because it's really easy to scrape your fingers on this, and I'm pretty sure if I get my blood in this, it's not going to be kosher anymore. All right, 1 potato down. I am using 3 potatoes, which is probably more than I need to because it's just gonna be me. Normally, I would share this kind of food with my friends, like after the fact, or, if there wasn't a plague happening, have them over for dinner. But now there's a chance that I have the plague, so I can't give anything to anybody for a while. At least not until I know whether or not I've got it. I feel fine physically. I still have my sense of smell and my sense of taste. But, we'll see. It can take a while to actually set in. Maybe I can freeze the ones I don't eat. Alright, good enough. I don't want to scrape my fingers off. 1 more potato. Oh yeah, this is way more potato than I need, but it is too late. Gosh. I probably could have gotten away with just 1, maybe 2. It's whatever. Okay, well, I'm not bleeding, so that's fine. All right, so here is all of the potato, but we're not done grating stuff yet. I'm gonna put this aside for a moment. I've got an onion here that I'm going to chop in half. Wow, this is a big onion. Okay. I'm gonna put the larger half of this onion in Ziploc, and then stick it in the fridge. And now we have half of an onion.
Which one of you has been eating all the Cheetos?
And after I get the skin off, I'm gonna give it a rinse because there's little like onion root strings stuck to it. All right, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing and just go ahead and grate this onion directly into the potato. Perfecto. So we've got all of the liquid in here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure everything is I'm gonna put some salt in this and then toss it all together. What tossing it with salt is gonna do is it's gonna draw out some of the liquid that is still like hiding out in the potato and the onion. So I'm going to mix this salt and we're going to let it rest for about 5 minutes. Sorry, I got a message. Okay, so the salt has been mixed in to the potato mixture. Let me go ahead and rinse my hands off because now I'm covered in potato again. Okay. So now I'm gonna put this aside and let it sit for like 5 minutes. That way that salt can really get up in that potato and onion and start drawing out some liquid. So I guess now is a good time to start actually talking about Hanukkah. Hello. So, Hanukkah. Again, I'm not actually Jewish. I'm just very familiar with Judaism. If you have questions as to why, go ahead and ask me. I explained it at the beginning of the video. So, a lot of non-Jewish people, which in, I don't know if it's actually called Yiddish or if it's called something else, but in the Jewish language, non-Jewish people are called goy or goyim. Goyim is the plural. And some non-Jewish people think it's a derogatory term, but it's not. It's just a word that means non-Jewish people. But anyway, so a lot of non-Jewish people assume that Hanukkah is like Judaism's answer to Christmas, where it's kind of a one-to-one. Even if it's not actually celebrating Jesus, it's gotta be like something similar. And it's really, really not. Hanukkah isn't even a major holiday in Judaism. There are way more important holidays. The reason that like our Western society as a whole ends up conflating the two is just because they end up happening at around the same time every year. And if you have noticed, it doesn't even have to happen at exactly the same time. Jewish holidays are, Judaism goes by a lunar calendar, so things will shift from year to year. So this year Hanukkah starts today and is going to last until the 18th. And I can't remember what day it started last year, but it varies from year to year. So, if Hanukkah isn't just Jewish Christmas, what is it? I'm sure a lot of us vaguely remember the Rugrats episode about Hanukkah, and it has something to do with candles and a rebellion, something like that. So, what it's actually about, there was a rebellion and there was the Miracle of Light. Um, I need to I need to bring up my Google Docs because I wrote a short essay so that I could make sure I got the history correct, but I don't remember what date everything started at. Um, it definitely started when there was still like Roman people off doing shitty Roman things. Let me double check to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so it was 200 BCE when all of this started going down. Uh, King King Antiochus III of Syria took over the area of Judea where Jerusalem is, and for the first while that he was control of the area, he was like, "This is fine. You Jews can keep you Jews can just keep doing what you're doing. I'm not gonna mess with you. Totally cool." Yes, Peanut, I'm still talking. Um, but then a few years later, his son made a deal with actually a different sect. Peanut. His son made a deal with a different sect of Jewish people who, for whatever reason, didn't like the way the people living in Jerusalem were doing things. And they lobbied against his son, which I guess was the king now, to attack or to try to force. That doesn't make sense though. Hold on, let me reread this. Okay. So this changed in 175 BCE when an opposing Jewish faction lobbied King Antiochus's son to attack and recapture Jerusalem. I don't know why they would do that. I didn't read that part on Wikipedia, but I should find that out because now that I think about it, that's super weird. So, they got the original king's son, presumably now the king, to reattack Jerusalem and capture it. And he made he was like, Jewish people got to stop being Jewish. Like, you're gonna start worshiping Zeus. You're gonna worship my gods. We're gonna redo your temple. We're gonna put a shrine to Zeus in there. We're gonna kill pigs in there. Fuck all y'all. And as you can imagine, this went over very poorly. Um, the Jewish people were pissed. And, there was a revolt on their hands because people in general don't take lightly to that sort of thing. My cats get really concerned when I talk too much because usually I live alone right now, and unless I'm on the phone with somebody, I'm quiet 90% of the time. I just don't talk very much. So anyway, yeah. They start taking over Jerusalem again. They defile the temple. Everybody's pissed off. Let me go ahead and take a look at these potatoes. All right. So they were sitting for a couple of minutes. I'm gonna pause history really quick, and we're gonna go back to the potatoes. Potatoes. I don't know why my cats are so concerned. So now that the potatoes have been sitting with the salt mixture for a while, you can already see there's some water dripping out of it. The salt helps draw the liquid out, and so what we're gonna do is squeeze this bitch as much as possible and get as much liquid out as we possibly can. Because since this is kind of, I mean, I think every culture has their preferred kind of fried potato. So the best way to make your fried potatoes crispy is to just get rid of all the water out of them as you can. Just all of that potato juice. Now sometimes after you do this, you can sift out some of the starch on the bottom and you can like put that back into your potatoes and that'll help it stick together better, which is also good. But I find that doing that, it can be difficult to make sure that all of your water in them, or make sure that you don't end up adding back in too much water. Okay. Okay. There is still some liquid in that. I'm gonna put it right here for a sec. Get another bowl to put aside for when the potatoes are actually ready. I'm gonna stir my soup really quick because it's just been simmering away over here. Looking good. Looks like soup. Okay. So here's the thing. I could probably keep squeezing this for like an hour to try to get as much liquid out as possible. Um, but that gets really tiring after a while. I wonder. That worked a little bit. Yeah, see, no matter how much you squeeze it, more always comes. So just, you want to squeeze out as much liquid as possible, but like, how much time do you really want to invest in doing this when everything has a lot of water in it because of the way that nature works? Okay, I'm gonna call that good enough. I feel like I did a pretty good job. So then you take your squeezified potato and you put it in another bowl. Just like that. Now we got some dry ass potato. And you can kind of see on the, almost see on the bottom, yeah, that white stuff, that's potato starch. It's just sinking down to the bottom. All right. So now you have this pretty dry potato mixture. What are you gonna do with it? We already added salt. Don't need to add more salt. I'm gonna add some garlic powder because I don't have like a microplane for grating garlic and I don't think my garlic crusher would make it small enough. We are gonna add a few twists of pepper. we're gonna add some matzo meal, which, if there is too much liquid in here, will help absorb any of the leftover liquid. And we're also gonna crack an egg into there. Because much like with every other thing that you would ever crack an egg into, it helps bind it all together. Alright. So, before I get my hands all up in that, I'm gonna get some olive oil heating up in this here cast iron skillet. Alright. And I'm gonna put it on like medium low. Alright. So, now we can get all up in here and start mixing all this together. Okay, so we left off at the point that King Antioch III's son, so I guess King Antioch IV, decided that even though his father had assured all of the Jewish people that they were going to be allowed to keep doing Jewish stuff, decided to be like, you know what, actually, fuck you. So things were pretty bad for a while, and the Romans were trying to force the Jewish people to stop being Jewish. But, like, you know, that never goes very well. The story goes that the first actual, the first person that died during the rebellion wasn't one of the Romans. It was another Jewish person that Matthias Maccabee, who was one of the priests or rabbis, or the Wikipedia said priests, but I didn't think the Jewish people had priests. I thought they had rabbis. I don't know. The Wikipedia said priest, was a Jewish priest. And Matthias Maccabee was a Jewish priest. And he killed one of his fellow Jews because they suggested just doing what the Romans said. And, you know, building the shrine to Zeus and doing what they said and all that terrible stuff. And he was like, hey, fuck you. We're not doing that. We're Jewish people. We're the chosen people, and we're gonna do the right thing. And then, from then on, the Maccabees were the leaders of this rebellion that lasted for about 3-ish years, as far as I can tell. Eventually, Matthias Maccabee died, and his son Judah Maccabee took over. And then, you know, eventually they did win out against the Romans, which is really impressive when you think about it, because the Romans were the biggest military might in the world for literally hundreds of years, and this was just a ragtag gaggle of Jewish rebels, and they just went ahead and forced them out, which, yeah, that's really cool, really impressive, really good, A+. So here we have a little patty, but my oil isn't hot enough yet, so I just have to keep kind of fiddling with it. So yeah, super rad. From what I read on Wikipedia, at this point, the story diverges a little bit because there are two, kind of like how with the Bible, there's all kinds of like the book of, you know, whomever, all the different disciples. There's also a similar thing in Judaism, since, you know, certain forms of Christianity share a lot of historical overlap with Judaism. So there's the Book of the Maccabees, there's Book 1 and Book 2. In the first Book of the Maccabees, it does talk about Judah Maccabee, like them successfully getting the Romans out and all that kind of thing. In that book, it doesn't talk about the miracle that, you know, is talked about in other places. In that book, it just talks about how they were celebrating kicking the Romans out, and the 8-day festival was about them taking the 8 days to clean up and rededicate the temple, which, you know, would be pretty cool. All right, I'm going to use my potato hands to adjust the camera so you can see. All right. It's starting to bubble, so I'm going to go ahead and drop my potatoes into here. So anyway, in the second book of the Maccabees is where it talks about the miracle of lights. The first place it's talked about is apparently the Torah, but I don't know. I'm confused about a couple of things. But regardless, in the second book of the Maccabees is where the miracle of lights is talked about, which is one of the things they had to have in the temple at all times was the menorah that was supposed to be lit day and night, totally constantly. And the fire was kept alive with olive oil. But wouldn't you know it, the Romans defiled every container of kosher olive oil they had, except for one, which only would have been enough olive oil to keep the menorah lit for one night. And then the miracle is that one little bottle of olive oil that was supposed to keep it lit for one day kept it lit for 8 days, which was long enough for them to produce more kosher olive oil for the menorah. So after you have the potatoes at this point and you're squeezing them into little patties, I still find it's a good idea to have another bowl to squeeze them over, because there's always going to be just a little bit more juice in there you can squeeze out. Okay. Potato. Turn this up a skosh. But yeah, so that's more or less what Hanukkah is about. Like I said, I think that it's really amazing that this gaggle of Jewish rebels was able to outmaneuver the Roman army. Like, that's something that did happen historically. Like, we know that it did. And it's just really cool. And it's also just absolutely ridiculous, like, nowadays when fucking, like, those shitty kinds of Christians who don't want to say happy holidays, oh, there's a war on Christmas, and it's just like, there was actually literally a war on Hanukkah. Maybe you should calm down. All right. Potato. All right, so while these are cooking, what I'm gonna do is turn the oven on to keep warm, and then put a cooling rack for cookies in a cookie sheet. That way, once these are done, I can put them on the cooling rack and put them in the oven. Putting them on the cooling rack will make it so the bottom of them doesn't get soggy, because, you know, nobody likes a soggy oven. There we go. I'm going to put it over here so I have it when I'm ready for it. But yeah, so that's the history of Hanukkah that I feel comfortable talking about. I am not going to talk about the religious aspects of it, because as somebody who is not Jewish, that's not my place. Um, oh my god, this soup looks awesome. You can't really see it, but it looks great, believe me. Okay. I put barley in it, so it's nice and thick. I'm gonna turn it down though. But yeah, so Hanukkah. I think it's a really cool holiday, and even though it's not one of the major holidays, I think that as a culture, we being like, you know, the way that America is, I think that it should be more respected and not assumed to just be Jewish Christmas. Like, I would say there is a little bit of overlap between Christmas and Hanukkah in that both of them are very family oriented and community oriented holidays that both to some level have something to do with a miracle. But I feel like that's also where the similarities stop. Um, Especially being that like Christmas is definitely one of the most, probably the most important holiday in Christianity, and it's just so pervasive that like, you know, I've seen posts on Tumblr where people talk about how you know at the place that they work at, they were allowed to put up a Christmas tree because it's, you know, seen as just like a secular holiday thing, but they weren't allowed to put up like a little Star of David on it for, you know, their Jewish coworkers because, oh, that's religious, but the Christmas tree isn't, even though it's called a Christmas tree. Um, so, you know, um, oh, also, one of the things that you do for Hanukkah is have things fried in olive oil because, you know, that harkens back to how important olive oil is to the story in that, you know, the miracle is about the olive oil lasting long enough to keep the menorah lit. So that's why things like latkes and a specific kind of fried donut um, are common staples for the holiday. And you know, who doesn't love a good fried potato? I'm gonna let that go for a little bit longer before I flip it. I'm also gonna turn this up a skosh. I think these ones have been frying for too long, so by the time they're done, they're gonna be a little bit too, I would say waterlogged, but it's more like oil logged. Which is to say it's still gonna be tasty, it's just gonna be really oily. Um, I wish I had some viewers to talk to. I've just been talking to myself about Hanukkah for half an hour. Like, I wish that I had it in me to believe in a higher power. Because I feel like that would be really comforting. But I can't. I wish that I could be a witch and believe in, like, spirits and nature and stuff. I don't necessarily want to be a Christian, but, like, you know, it would be cool if I could find some kind of comfort in that. And like I said, overall, I'm super into Judaism. I just find it, I don't want to say fascinating because that sounds like I'm being rude. And I know, like, when I talk about this with other people, they'll point out that there are plenty of Jewish people who categorize themselves as atheists. But I think it's different when it's something that you're born into because like Judaism is one of the few religions that I know of where it's something that is actively passed down. Like people that grow up in a Christian family, they're Christians by association. That's how they were raised, that's what they believe in, that kind of thing. But with Judaism, it's a whole other category of stuff. Like, if your mom is Jewish, then even if you don't actually follow Judaism, then you still are a Jewish person. So, it's different when you are somebody who was born Jewish and then throughout your life decide that you are an atheist. You're still gonna have that, like, Jewishness as part of your background. It's just that you don't believe in God, which makes sense. But I feel like it's different when it's somebody who is on the outside of Judaism looking in, who likes a lot of what they see, but just doesn't think that they could actually believe in a God, which is where I'm at. And like, there's just a lot. Some of these two I might have flipped over too soon because they're really pale. These two look pretty good though. I'm gonna scoot this pan over a little bit. That might be part of the problem. There. I'm so excited about dinner tonight. These latkes are gonna be super good. And my soup is also gonna be super good. And this is the first time I've cooked real food all week because basically Monday through yesterday I was dealing with trying to get all of my holiday cookies made and packed up and sent out. And so my kitchen was basically catastrophe until earlier this afternoon. I was living off of some leftovers. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna flip these ones back over to get some better color on the other side, but then these two are probably done. Yeah, see, that's some good golden brown color. So these ones we are gonna put right on here. I probably should have put some paper towels down. We're gonna put them right on there. That way they can drain, and we're gonna put them in the oven so they stay warm. think I let that sit for too long. I was doing something on my computer. Ooh, no, that's an excellent color. Turns out somebody that I blocked I probably shouldn't have, or at least I didn't really need to. That's okay. I unblocked them, and I'll see if I can message them later and apologize. Alright, so, this sure is some potato. I'm going to turn this down, because since it's olive oil has a much lower smoke point than other oils do. So if I just leave this on with nothing in it, it's going to smoke up and make my house go crazy. Okay. More potato. All right. Okay. So it turns out that those 3 potatoes actually only made 8 or 9 latkes, which is a pretty reasonable amount, I think. I expected it to be a lot more, but this is pretty good. Especially since these are basically just a specific kind of ethnic hash brown. I can have the leftovers for breakfast. Yeah, here we go. It's gonna be 8 latkes with one of them just maybe kind of big. Alright. Excellent. So yeah. I'm really excited about eating this. It's gonna be delicious. Plus the soup I've got, oof. This soup would be really good. I mean, it's already going to be really good, but it would be really great if I had some kale to mix into it. Um, I'm not doing anything else special for the next 8 days of Hanukkah, since again, not actually Jewish. Um, on Monday, I'm gonna have to go get tested for the Rona somewhere. Oh, hey viewer, it's good to have you here. You caught me right at the end of it. Um, Let me know in the chat if you want me to go over the history of Hanukkah again, because I already did it because I was just talking to myself. But I can sure do it. On Monday, I have to go get tested for the Rona. I swear I'm not one of those awful people who goes out irresponsibly and doesn't wear their mask and stuff. One of my friends came over when she got off work the other night because she had a terrible day, and admittedly it was irresponsible of me to have somebody over. And then the next day, after having her over, she texted me and told me that one of her coworkers had tested positive for the Rona, so she got tested, and she also tested positive for the Rona. So now I need to get tested to make sure that I don't have the Rona. I feel fine, and I still have my sense of smell and my sense of taste and everything, but it can take a while for the germs to actually be all up in your system, and to show up on a test. So I'm going to be going in on Monday to get tested. I'm gonna try, I'm gonna be careful, and I'm not gonna go anywhere and stuff, but I'm gonna try not to worry until I actually start to show some symptoms. Alright, these are gonna get flippity flopped. Aw, yeah. Them some crispy potato. Welcome to the stream, whoever is viewing. Sorry if I already said that. It's hard for me to tell who's new and who's not. I would like it if Twitch told you, who was watching without them having to say something. Maybe you can do that if you're not using a shitty laptop. So these two I might flip back over to cook on the other side for a little while, since they're still kind of pale. But once these two are done, I'll put them in the oven with the other ones I have hanging out in there staying warm. A lot of people eat their latkes with sour cream. I'm not sure what else. That seems like a pretty standard, potato topping. I think one of my friends used to have theirs with applesauce, but I don't know. That seems a little weird to me. I'm gonna be having some delicious veggie soup that I might, break these guys up into or something. I just wanted to make sure I had something healthy to go along with this, since, these are gonna be delicious, but they are very oily. That oil has a... Man, that's too late, too. Fuck. That one's okay. How do you guys look? You look good. You look good. Alright. So these two are going to go in the oven. I have a cookie sheet with a cooling rack in it so that my latkes can drip the oil off and stay crispy. For some reason, this side of the pan is hotter. My husband might be home soon, so that's really nice. Of course, if I have the Rona, and if I do officially have the Rona, then when he gets home, he'll end up having to like quarantine in a hotel or something. All right. Oh, this is starting to smoke a little bit because that's how olive oil works. I'm gonna turn it down. Also, I'm sorry about this loud noise that's about to occur. This is the lowest setting that I have for my above fan. I'm sorry if this noise is terrible, but it's probably better than the fire alarm would be, because my fire alarm is overly enthusiastic, and if it goes off, I will have a sensory overload breakdown. Actually, this might be a good place to call it because my latkes are almost done. Alright. Let me go ahead and get away from that fan. I'm going to turn the camera around so I can show you my soup, and then I'll... Okay, so here's the latkes happening. They're going to be delicious. Here is the soup that I made to go along with dinner tonight. Ta-da! This is a delicious vegetable barley soup. I think it'll be an excellent counter to my delicious oily latkes. Yeah, so thanks for watching if you were hanging out during this. I hope you learned something about Hanukkah that maybe you didn't know before. And I hope you go forward with a newfound appreciation for Judaism, maybe. Follow me on Twitter. I stream at least a few times a week. I'm gonna stream on Friday and also maybe on Saturday. Yeah, you guys know where to find me. Bye!